Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating blueprint for financial freedom. We're looking at the absolute core habits of the 1%. This is all drawn directly from the incredible work of financial journalist Sonia Shenoi. Over the course of 17 years, almost 2 decades, she interviewed hundreds of corporate legends, successful business leaders, and these really interesting quiet wealth generators, all to figure out exactly how they built and, more importantly, kept their fortunes. What we're doing today is taking those 17 years of deep insights and breaking them down for you step by step. So let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Is wealth really just about how much you earn? It's probably the biggest assumption most of us have about money. We just totally obsess over our salaries, right? We think that a sky-high income automatically equals lasting wealth. But the data, and honestly, the actual daily habits of the ultra-successful, well, they tell a completely different story. It turns out, achieving real escape velocity when it comes to wealth creation actually has way less to do with that top-line number on your paycheck and a whole lot more to do with the underlying systems you build around it.
So to really understand how these wealth generators operate, we're going to explore 3 core areas today. 1. Rewiring your financial mindset. 2. The mechanics of real wealth. And 3. Harnessing the power of time.
All right, pillar number 1, rewiring your financial mindset. Because, before we can actually change our bank accounts, we absolutely have to change how we think. It's the invisible foundation that dictates literally every financial move you're ever going to make.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the profound contrast in how most people operate versus the wealthy. So many folks are just trapped in a scarcity mindset, right? They're totally paralyzed by the fear of failure, and they almost completely underestimate the potential upside of a new opportunity. But the highly successful? They operate from an abundance mindset. Now, they aren't reckless, but they do take calculated risks. They invest heavily in themselves, upskilling, pivoting to new careers, taking on new challenges, and crucially, they actually allow themselves to fail. It takes some deep inner work to shift this, for sure, but once you unlock it, there is just no looking back.
A massive part of that abundance mindset is what psychologists call System 2 thinking. This is basically the wealthy person's superpower. System 2 thinking is analytical, it's deliberate, it's that rational side of your brain taking over to piece together a logical judgment rather than just snapping and reacting immediately to whatever emotion you're feeling in the moment. Just look at how these two systems clash in the real world, especially with investing. System 1 thinking, that's what happens when you hear some scary news about a stock. You see it drop 20% and boom, you react immediately, you completely panic sell. But System 2 thinking, it steps back from the ledge. It suppresses that immediate panic, looks at the logical data, and pieces together additional information before making a single move. Giving in to System 1 will literally destroy your portfolio, while System 2 preserves and actually grows your wealth, even when things get super volatile.
And that leads to a really profound psychological truth about the 1%. Real wealth generators, they don't frantically chase money. They just don't. Instead, they work on their relationship with it. They cultivate this healthy, almost detached dynamic where money is simply a tool. It's not an obsession.
So, moving to pillar number 2, the mechanics of real wealth. What do these mental shifts actually look like in your daily practice?
So, the crucial point is this exact sequence right here, the habit of automation. For the wealthy, investing is never an afterthought. Step 1, your earnings come in. Step 2, your investments are automatically deducted right away. Step 3, your expenses are covered only with what is left over. By doing this, you completely eliminate decision fatigue. You don't have to rely on your own willpower every single month, which means there is absolutely no room for inconsistency. It just happens. And automating everything like that totally shifts your focus. People who struggle to build wealth often obsess over external appearances. They're splurging on the latest bags or fancy cars, mostly just because someone else has them. But those who create real wealth, they focus on internal growth. They're pouring their resources into reading, learning, networking, building side hustles. They really don't care about looking rich. They care about actually being wealthy.
Which perfectly introduces this fascinating concept of quiet wealth. True generational wealth often looks completely invisible to the outside world. It's all about building massive assets behind the scenes while maintaining a remarkably simple lifestyle. A lifestyle that doesn't just suddenly balloon out of proportion the second your income spikes.
To really anchor this idea, consider the story of veteran investor Ramesh Dani.
This is amazing. Despite having a net worth of a few hundred crores, he interacts with the exact same friends, lives in the same house, and drives pretty much the same car he has for years. I mean, it's the ultimate proof that keeping your lifestyle in check and simply spending less than you earn is an absolute non-negotiable habit for lasting wealth.
Finally, we reach Pillar 3, harnessing the power of time. This right here is the ultimate magic multiplier.
Let's move to see how this builds across a human lifespan. Most wealthy people start early because, those ages between 25 and 35, those are your golden years for investing. You can afford to be aggressive. You generally have fewer responsibilities. You've got the energy to stack up skills and build businesses. If you miss this window, your 40s and 50s quickly turn into this really stressful catch-up phase. The cost of living is rising, inflation is eating into your wallet, the bills are mounting, and your money just kind of struggles to grow fast enough to match your lifestyle. But when you start early and let time do the heavy lifting, the results are just staggering. Upwards of 80 locks. That is 8 million. It's a massive, totally life-changing figure. But how exactly do you get there without starting with some giant initial fortune?
Well, let's break down the exact math behind Sonia Shenoi's actual investment journey to see how that number came to be. Starting back in 2014, she just automated a monthly investment of 20,000 rupees into the Motilal Oswal FlexiCap Fund, and she kept that going for 10 solid years. But look at the strategy column. This is the real secret. She held firm even when stocks fell 40% from the top and the portfolio literally halved. While most people were panicking and selling, she stayed put. The result? That consistent 20K a month grew to a value of over 80 lakhs. It's incredible.
That kind of growth is exactly why wealthy people simply do not think in terms of months. They plan in decades. They're looking at the 5-year, 10-year, and 20-year horizons. They know that in those first few years of investing, you're really just buying into volatility. You might see zero returns, maybe even losses. But the real magical power of compounding? That only truly kicks in after about 5 years of holding steady.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate philosophy that ties all of these habits together. Look, wealthy people aren't misers. They love good experiences, and they absolutely spend on things money can buy. But they always prefer value over price. Every single purchase, whether it's adding a stock to a portfolio or picking out the car they drive to work, it has to have true underlying value. So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a quick question to just kind of reflect on in your own life. Look at the systems you have in place right now. Are your daily financial habits building quiet wealth that's going to compound over decades? Or are they just generating really loud expenses for today? The blueprint is right here, but the choice of how to build it is entirely yours. Thanks so much for exploring this with me.